Wow. They're trying desperately to keep pushing for giving more and more power, more and more economic activity in the hands of the central planners, of the most inept among us. Like this constant push, I'm just so fucking sick and tired of it. Just let people have their fucking paychecks, you dipshits. And let market forces and fundamentals play a fucking role, and you'll find out that it works great. You central planning dipshits, you're so inept, you're just so used to just, like I say, creating bureaucracy as a means to everything. And while you see that, hey, it benefits government, so because you're on that side of the divide, everything looks rosy, everything looks great. But you're the parasitical pieces of shit. You're the ones that are taken from the productive people in society. So of course, yes, it's great for you. But societies are starting to break down as a result of, hey, listen, we have no power over our own lives, our own social or economic lives anymore. We have, the only thing we're allowed anymore, you can go out and mindlessly consume a bunch of fucking shit that you don't really need, you might want, and hey, I'm all for that. I'm a capitalist. Enjoy it. But all the things that matter most to people is now being placed in the hands of inept central planners and corrupt authoritarians. And now I'm pretty sure this article is going to be aligned with, once again, the government's been trying to take over the pharmaceutical industry. I mean, it's as close to now. I mean, Jesus, how much further do you got to go, right? It's like, well, hey, might as well just give them the rest of the control. Well, no. Head back the other way. But I mean, the government's already, I mean, there's so much cronyism involved in, big pharmaceuticals and drugs. And this is why these things are so expensive. You'll never be able to point anyone, and nobody has done so far. Show me somewhere where a product or a service is in the private sector where it just continuously gets more expensive, even though productivity and technology has made the cost cheaper for those who produce it. Show me where that's ever happened without central planning governments, cronyism, or cartels being able to affect prices in that manner, to do the price fixing thing. You'll never see anywhere in the private market or in the free market where continued innovation, productivity, and technology means prices continue to increase. No, and the other side of that coin too, I forgot to point out, is inflation. And that inflation comes as a result of central planning, once again, in central banks and printing money to stimulate economies, which drives up the inflationary aspect of the currency, which drives up the inflationary aspect of prices. But you'll never see that in your wages, right? Your wages don't get to see those kind of inflationary aspects. Well, unless you're a government employee. But because you can use governments, central planners, and maybe force the unborn or future generations to pay for those people in government, the people that work for government, yeah, you can get raises that are pegged to inflation, right? Because, once again, when there's no bottom line, when there's no fiscal or economic prudence that has to reflect reality, like in a budget in your home, in your budget, okay, I got $1,000 to spend. Well, you can only stretch that $1,000 over so long. Now, you might be able to have a credit card, but once again, you're going to have to pay that at some point in time. Well, with governments, like, well, I can raise up the never-ending credit card because, hey, we can just use government bonds, government-issued bonds, and force future and successive generations to pay this. So, like I say, it's all so immoral, folks. You really need to start learn some financial and economic fundamentals, because the more economic literacy, the more that's propagated or becomes part of the norm of any societal structure. Well, like I say, you want Canada to turn into a Venezuela? Because ultimately that's what will happen if you don't start thinking about these things properly. Headline out of CBC News, British Columbia. Almost 1 million Canadians give up food and heat to afford prescriptions. Study. 968,000 people skimped on necessities to pay for their medicine in 2016, researchers find. Nearly 1 million Canadians spent less on necessities like food and heat to afford their prescription in 2016, according to a new study. The paper published Tuesday found that 730,000 people skimped on food and another 238,000 spent less on heating their home, a total of 968,000 people. We knew lots of Canadians were having trouble paying for medication, said Michael Law, lead author of the paper, an associate professor in UBC's School of Population and Public Health. Now we know they are trading off other everyday necessities in order to pay for prescription drugs. But I mean, a lot of these prescription drugs you might not even need. This is another fucking area and aspect with, like I say, holy fuck, man. This is so crazy, so much waste, so much. I mean, what are a lot of these? What are these prescription opiate fucking based prescription drugs so that people can deal with the fucking shit they have to live in? I mean, with the way things are going, at some point in time, was everybody going to have to be fucking medicated just to be able to fucking live in this fucking country? That should be a wake up call. How could this possibly be? It's just so contradictory in nature to the reality that should exist. Absent of central planning and governments, these authoritarian pieces of shit. I mean, that's the thing, because we have no way to show. Like, look at how fucking great things would be if it wasn't for these pieces of shit. Because we can't show that in real life because it's absent, it's non-existent. Well, it's always, once again, it's just speculation. So people are like, well, maybe this is the best it can get. Well, I guess you'll never know if you keep fucking listening to the kind of rhetoric and the bullshit propaganda from your central planning masters. I guess you will never know. I guess you will have to spend the rest of your life, and even when you take your very last breath, wondering, I wonder what it could have been like. You could have taken the time and found out what it was like, tried that experiment, but no, people are too scared, or they fall over the political propaganda or the fear mongering from the central planners and the authoritarians. Like, oh no, you need government. Without government, oh, it'll be just pure anarchy. Everyone will turn into just what? Worse than what they're already at? What? You mean there's going to be what? Some entity or scary corporation that'll be able to monopolize the use of force and violence and just run rickshaw everybody? This kind of sounds a whole lot like government, doesn't it? So you already got that in spades. I'll post a link to this article in the description of the video below. I'm not going to read it anymore. For this stuff, like I say, it just drives me nuts, folks. It drives me nuts. Like, start to think about these things. It's so important and vitally important that you do. Not just for now, not just for tomorrow, not for next week, but for your future and the future of the citizens of Canada. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.